After owning this car for about 3 months now, I was really interested in making an updated video. Do I still love this car? Do I think everyone should own a Tesla? Stay tuned and get my thoughts on this LFP Standard Range Plus. So there were a few factors that I considered when getting this car initially, and they were more monetary factors. First being, Teslas have this perceived notion of being a super expensive car, which when it comes down to it, you really have to acknowledge cost of ownership. And I was in the market for a new vehicle, and it's not like I'm crazy rich like everyone thinks Tesla owners are. So I was looking at used cars and whatnot, but as we know, used cars are selling like outrageously. I think on average, used cars are selling anywhere from like 15 to 20% more than what they were a year ago, which means those prices are inflated. Then you look at new cars, there's markups, there's backlogs, and we all know how ICE cars depreciate. So then I was looking at electric cars. You have like the Bolt EV, you have these Audi electric cars, and then you have Teslas, of course. But when you look historically, Teslas have held their value the best because of the over-the-air software updates, whereas a lot of these other electric cars, the Mach-E, whatever, don't necessarily get those over-the-air software updates. I was looking at cost of ownership. I was like, all right, this car is not going to lose a lot of value. So if I wanted to get in and get out like pretty quickly, I could. This car is not like super cheap by any means, but when you compare cost of ownership of this car compared to like, I don't know, leasing a Volkswagen or a Toyota Camry where you have to pay for gas and you have to pay for oil changes and other maintenance items that you don't typically need to do on a Tesla. So I was like, this is pretty cool. And so gas prices being super expensive where I live, which is in California, I think they're upwards of like $5 a gallon, or even maybe more than that now. And I was looking towards the future. I was like, all right, gas prices are only going to go up. I should also take advantage of these different EV rebates. And so I thought it was just a combination of things that sort of made it make sense for me to get into a Tesla at this time. And I locked my car in at around $39,000, but as we all know, this was a $35,000 car just a year ago. So I was like, all right, the price has already gone up a little bit. It's probably going to go up more. They were also in talks about reintroducing a federal tax rebate. So I was looking towards the future and I was like, all right, the demand is going to skyrocket. I know for sure I can buy this car, drive it, sell it in a few years and make money on it. So in a monetary sense, it just made sense. I'm basically getting paid to drive this car, if you really think about it. And I made a video about this a while ago. If you guys want to check it out, links down below. The LFP pack, my absolute favorite topic. I think the LFP pack is far superior to the NCA pack, which is why Tesla has sort of transitioned into the LFP pack. On a full charge, I get around 252 miles of range. After about 3,000 miles, I have absolutely no degradation, at least from what I can see here. And I do expect with software updates in the future for the range to get optimized and to get even more range as opposed to your NCA pack, which I've heard degrades pretty quickly. I have a friend with a 2020 NCA Standard Range Plus. They have to charge to, 80 to 90%. That's just the charging behavior with those types of cars. And they get around 170 to 180 miles of usable range, which absolutely suck and just shows how degradation really kills those cars. And it shows how annoying it is not to be able to charge to 100%. I love my LFP car. I love all the upgrades that came with my LFP car. All the upgrades are in a video down below. After about 3 months of ownership, I've really come to enjoy and appreciate what Tesla has sort of brought to market. I mean, this car is so simple, right? And it's supposed to be a very affordable car. When you look at it, I mean, this car is priced probably a little less than your regular 3 Series, your regular C300, and a lot of other like standard ICE cars that you see everywhere, and they're really crappy cars because they're like entry-level cars, but people love them. Get into sort of the things that I really have come to love about this car. First being the exterior looks. Yes, I wrapped my car, so it sort of accentuated the exterior looks of the car. It was already a beautiful car, but I made mine a bit unique in that sense. But it definitely turns a lot of necks, and it's a really nice looking car. The car is such a comfortable ride. I've done a lot of highway driving, city driving, and compared to a lot of other cars I've driven, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, I mean, this car's right there. And at the end of the day, this is an entry-level Tesla Model 3. This isn't a Model S. This car isn't on air suspension. So in that sense, you know, Tesla has done a killer job. The next thing would be the seats. The seats are very functional and they're also very beautiful. I don't think any other car has a white interior or an interior in general like Tesla's. And this simplistic design, it's very, very, very different from your traditional ICE car where, you know, the screens over time get a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger, and then the older ones like they get dated really quickly. Tesla sort of stayed constant with their design, and they've really focused on the over-the-air updates and how they can sort of optimize the car in every way possible. And as we know, Sentry mode and all these other features, autopilot and whatnot, didn't necessarily come out when the car was first introduced, but over time, like gradually introduced with software updates and whatnot. The autopilot, as I had mentioned earlier, for people who have longer commutes, this is just killer. When you go back into an ICE car and you have to constantly hit the gas and the brake when you're stuck in like really heavy traffic, it's like the end of the world. And so driving a car like this where you don't necessarily have to do any driving, it does most of it for you, is game changer. I mean, it makes those like 1 hour, 2 hour commutes, which a lot of people have, just very easy. You could take phone calls, you could go on your laptop, you can do a lot of different things. Not that you should, but you can. And so it makes just the experience like a great pleasure. Something that's really hard to explain with words is the experience you get with a Tesla, or maybe this is just any EV. But I really look at this car as a mobile office, or really a piece of technology that just helps me achieve a lot of different things. With these various USB-C ports and the fact that this car is powered by a battery, I don't have to leave my engine running if I, let's say, want to sit in a parking lot for an hour and do work, but I need like charge per se, and I don't want to drain the 12-volt battery. I don't have to worry about that in this car. It's literally your mobile office in the sense that you have a major screen here that can do almost everything your smartphone can do. You can watch YouTube, Netflix, you can surf the web, you can navigate, you can do like practically anything you want to do with this. At the same time, you can use your laptop, you can do work, you can watch movies, you can sit back, especially with long road trips. If your car's an autopilot, you can really just appreciate the scenery, look left, look right. And so in that sense, no other car will give you that experience except for a Tesla. And especially at this price point, the amount of things you get is just mind-boggling. It's fast, it's luxurious, it's comfortable, it's a great looking car. You know, a lot of other car manufacturers that release a base model car, you know, it basically has nothing. There's no buttons on the steering wheel, very limited on options, can barely take it from point A to point B. So in that sense, it's really incredible what Tesla has done. Having a Tesla, at least in my opinion, like I've never wanted to drive more. And another thing that I've been really interested in recently is like doing road trips. And this is really common because of a Tesla's expansive supercharging network and how easy it is to supercharge. It like encourages people to now take trips and whatnot across the country because, as I said before, this piece of technology is so versatile in the sense that you can live in it basically. People put beds in the back. I mean, this is probably more practical in a Model Y, but people do it in Model 3s all the time. You put the back seats down, you lay out a mattress, you can sleep in it. It's not like you're having to idle your car overnight and breathe in all those toxic fumes and then get lightheaded and probably die. Just a whole new experience. And at the same time, you have the satisfaction knowing, despite how much you drive, you're not killing the environment with all these like carbon emissions and whatnot. So in that sense, it's also very satisfying driving this vehicle. I'll make a video on this soon, but I'm not sure if you guys can tell from the video, but like I'm probably like on the taller side, probably like 6'5", 6'6". And again, the Tesla Model 3 is a smaller car, but I fit very comfortably from maybe what you guys can see in this video, or I'll try to get additional footage. I can fit in the back seat as well, and it's just such a spacious car that you will not get from any other sedan that's under probably like 50,000-60,000 bucks. You look at a C-Class, a 3 Series, Audi A4, maybe even Audi A5, like I cannot fit in the back and I can barely fit in the front of those cars. So how Tesla has managed their spacing and also managed to keep the interior very sort of simple, but at the same time it can do everything you need it to do is absolutely incredible. And so in that sense, I'm very satisfied. There's only one major problem that I've had with Tesla and my car, I guess you could say. I've had some rattles here and there, though I'm sure that's not necessarily a fair way of criticizing this car, just because with electric cars, I think it's very, very, very difficult to sort of address all these like nitty things that, you know, when you reach highway speeds, sure, things are going to rattle here and there. And, you know, with an ICE car, they can get away with a lot more with these loud engines and all these random noises going on. So I had a bit of an annoying experience where I had a rattle in my A-pillar, I had a rattle in the side door. And just recently I had something fall apart in the trunk. Just like clips basically fell loose and a piece of trim is hanging. But I had brought my concerns to the service center. The service center is so overwhelmed and backed up. I think it's like a month or two wait. And when I had brought my car in, they couldn't diagnose any of the sounds. I'm assuming they didn't even try to diagnose it, because I had told them that you needed to do highway speeds in order to hear the sounds. But again, they couldn't diagnose it, and they had informed me that if the sounds came back, to take a video recording, or I could just bring it back to the service center instead of having to make another appointment and having to wait another month or two. What ended up happening is I ended up calling someone from the service center and saying, hey, can I bring my car in today? You had told me that I could bring in my car whenever I needed to if the sound were to come back. And they just wouldn't honor that request, and they said I had to make another appointment in the app, and it's just a bit ridiculous because my problem was never addressed, and now I have to wait another month and a half. And on top of that, they don't offer loaner cars, really. I mean, there's like a huge like wait list, and just generally speaking, you can't really get a loaner car. They do give you Uber vouchers, which is about $100 a day, but for people who commute longer distances and stuff, this just doesn't suffice. And it's not the consumer's fault that the car is defective in the sense that there's rattles or other problems with the vehicle. So that's been very frustrating, and as many people have said before, it's very difficult to get in touch with people at the service center. I've tried calling many times. You sort of get through some automated system, and it's just nearly impossible. So overall, their service center sucks. But on the bright side, Elon Musk has said and has proven that these cars don't need any service, and they're trying to develop a car that needs so little service that you'll never have to bring it to the service center. So that's how they're going to address that issue, and I'm confident they can do it. So like I said earlier, about $1,000 in gas to go about 3,000 miles, but the energy equivalent, the electricity equivalent, would have cost me about maybe $100 on average, given like supercharging rates or charging at home rates, whatnot. But I happen to use a free level 2 charger at my workplace, so I basically paid $0 in energy just to move my electric vehicle. Now also, there's another criticism that people have had with insurance premiums being higher on Teslas, but I disagree. Tesla's insurance on average is about 30% cheaper than other insurance companies. And so with that said, I think that adjusts for the inflated prices you see with electric cars or Teslas in general. That's it for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give us some sort of feedback. Please leave a comment and sort of tell us how we could do better in the future. And don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.